Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, and welcome to what I thought was the end of a rainstorm, but as soon as I pressed record on the camera, it has started raining again. But it's okay because I'm in a good mood because I've been spending the week with a turbocharged Inline-6 sedan. Now, this is not the normal recipe for a Dodge Charger, and boy did Dodge ruffle some feathers when they brought out this, what is technically the 8th generation Charger of all time, but the 3rd generation Charger since it came back out in like 2006 or whatever, because the Dodge Charger has always been a muscle car. From 2006 on, they had a couple of odd generations out in the late 70s and 1980s, but since the reintroduction in 2006, you've always been able to get the Charger with a V8. And when Dodge brought this back in 2024 as an electric vehicle only, everyone said, what the heck? Like, what are we supposed to do with this thing? They didn't like the way it looked, they didn't like the way it sounded, and they didn't like the price that the initial electric vehicles were offered for. And luckily, a year later, or I guess 2 model years later, Dodge brought out the Hurricane-powered Charger. Now, this is still not a V8, but it is still internal combustion. It's turbocharged, and this Scat Pack high-output version makes 550 horsepower and 531 pound-feet of torque. We have the 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, and now all of these are all-wheel drive, though you do have the option in the infotainment to put this into 2-wheel drive mode, kind of like a BMW M5. But I think what's so cool about this is just the fact that it exists in 2026. A 4-door, front-engined, potential rear-wheel drive car with a liftback is just super cool, and I hope that Dodge kind of continues this. They're building on this, right? It started as an EV, then they put the 6-cylinder, and they've teased the Hellcat powertrains going in this. I hope they kind of continue with that, and maybe we'll even see the 6.4 V8, maybe the 5.7 at some point. But for now, this is the top dog. Now, the new Charger is available in both 2- and 4-door configurations, which just makes everything very confusing for everyone, because traditionally, the 2-door version of Dodge's muscle car is called a Challenger. And I've had a number of people ask me this week if this is a Charger or a Challenger because they have no idea what's going on anymore. And I don't know if that was Dodge's poor marketing or just the fact that they've now condensed this into one car. But all you have to know is that they're all called Chargers now, and you can have them as a 2- or a 4-door configuration. The 4-door is a little bit more expensive, but overall they're all about the same price. This one starts at just over $56,000 for the Scat Pack, but this is the Scat Pack Plus, so that's another $5,000 on top. It's like $62,000. This one's got a few options: the Redeye exterior paint, the Blacktop Package, which gets you the dark badges, the black wheels, and I think black exhaust tips in the back, a full glass roof on this, and inside the 18-speaker Alpine sound system. So all in all, we're just under $70,000, which does sound like quite a bit, but remember, 550 horsepower internal combustion and a 4-door liftback sort of setup. Now, this has been a lot for me to take in this week because I think I am the last journalist on planet Earth to experience the new Dodge Charger, since this has been out for like 2 years now, and I've never driven one of these. I've never lived with one because Dodge kept canceling our loans for the electric ones, and we were supposed to get a 2-door. That got canceled. So I didn't even believe that this thing was going to show up, but it finally did. And like I said, it's been a lot to take in because this is a whole new era for Dodge. Everything on the inside is different. Obviously, this exterior is very much different, but still, you know, it's still recognizable as a Dodge, and I do think they did a good job with this exterior. This got a lot of hate when it came out, and I always kind of liked the design of this, even when it was EV only. I was like, guys, come on, cut them some slack. You know, this does still look like an old Dodge sort of pony car, muscle car, whatever you want to call it, and it is still a muscle car under the skin as well. They've even kept the 6-pack name, even though it is upside down. But I think that's so if your hood's open at a car show, the other, you know, sort of people can see that you've got the 6-pack when your hood is up. But now, 6-pack means that this is the 6-cylinder, which we'll show you right now, the Hurricane. This engine, I believe, debuted in the Ram truck. Oh, and I keep going down for a latch, but it is now a button in this car to pop the hood. That'll never break. Back in the day, traditionally, if you had like a 446 pack car back in the 1960s or something, it meant that you had 3 dual carburetors. But now, like I said, it's the 6-cylinder, and you can see they write 6-pack on this. They try to spruce it up a little bit, but it's just cool to open the hood of one of these Chargers and see an engine. That is just nice. And again, to reiterate, 550 horsepower, 531 pound-feet of torque, and Dodge also offers this in a lower output version called the RT, which has to make do with only 420 horsepower. And I say only, I actually kind of mean it, because this weighs 4,800 pounds, and it's all-wheel drive, of course. There's a lot of mass here to move, but I think the Scat Pack just looks proper. You don't only get the extra power in the Scat Pack, you get better brakes, you get a sport-tuned suspension, and you get this fun little Scat Pack badge here on the side. I'm glad that they kept this name. It's just so fun, the little B with the wheels on them and stuff. Dodge is all about having fun. In fact, Redeye is one of the tamest exterior colors for this. They also have the orange color, which is called Peel Out, and the blue, which is called Ludicrous, and white is called White Knuckle. You know, if there's one thing that Dodge does well, it's naming things. They love giving things a name, including their new logo here, which you can see illuminated on the taillight, which is called the Fratzog. And it comes to like naming things, they don't even know what it means. I looked up, I was like, what is the Fratzog? Nobody knows. Even the guy that designed it doesn't know what it means. He just came up with a name. How Dodge is that? Anyway, lift back design, tons of room in the back. Emily and I actually road tripped this out to a wedding yesterday. I don't know if that video is going to come out before or after this, but I wanted to do kind of a standalone review on this car too, to take my time and walk you around this and show you what it's all about. We've got an inflator kit under here, which I assume means there's no spare, but a little bit of extra storage right here. And I think the fact that they made this into a liftback does make sense, because the Charger's got a lot of real estate. You know, it's a big car. And I think using this extra room back here for good, or for golf, I suppose, might benefit some of their owners, and they might find that room very usable. Since this is the Scat Pack, it takes 93 octane, or 91 plus octane, I guess if you live in California and you only have access to 91. Yesterday on the road trip, we got about 24 mpg. This is rated for 23 on the highway, 19 combined, 16 in the city. So not the most efficient thing, but it's a 550 horsepower Stellantis muscle car, so you can't really expect too much, even though it's down 2 cylinders from the previous Scat Pack. Told you guys about this full glass roof on this, and Scat Pack Plus gets these leather seats as well. Also love the frameless doors with this. In the back seat at 5'11" sat behind myself here, which I'm just noticing all these little design elements on the back of the seat. That's kind of cool. And they've got 2 seat back pockets, and these rear outboard seats are heated as well. So that is quite nice. You've got some climate vents down here. But the most important thing, which is room, there's quite a bit of it actually. You do sit pretty low down here in the back, similar to the front, but I do have just enough headroom. If I sit up straight at 5'11", I've got about that much headroom in the back, but I think you'd be okay. You could always slouch if you needed to. And folding down this center armrest, you can see we have a couple of cup holders, a little bit of a drivetrain hump in the middle. Let's see if this middle seat is even usable. Decently. I think for a short trip, you could fit an adult there, but on a long trip, you could fit pretty comfortably 4 adults in this car. So that is pretty nice. Right, the door handles are buttons, and for some reason, I don't think they have a manual release in the back, so you'd have to climb up to the front if you were stuck in this car, but there are little manual releases in the front, which I will show you in just a second. But first I want to talk tires, because that's important on a car like this as well. And you know, Stellantis, they're kind of all about their all-season tires. You really never see like a super high performance tire on something like this, which is so funny. I mean, you get like a Durango Hellcat, it's on a set of all seasons, and so is the Scat Pack Goodyear Eagle Sport. 275 40 R20 squared setup, so really wide tire on the front, but I think the design kind of accentuates this. It's got these flared front fenders and rear fenders. It just looks really good, though it does seem like it sits kind of high. I think this would look good if it was lowered a little bit more. Electronic door handles to get in, and these are those manual releases I told you about earlier if you get stuck in the car. But obviously the ideal here is just to push that button to get out, and it's worked just fine for me this week. Now these seats up front, these are the standard seats in the Scat Pack Plus. I think they're very boring, but you are able to option some sport seats, which do look quite nice. But I was glad we had these in here for our road trip, because they do seem to be quite cozy. You've got the red stitching here to match your Redeye exterior, but I don't know, I feel like maybe like a little Scat Pack logo on here or something like you got in the old Charger. Even if you had the cloth seats in the Scat Pack, they were a little bit better to look at, a little more bolstered, and they had those logos on them. So I was a little bit perplexed when I opened the door and this is the seat that I saw. I was like, kind of surprising from Dodge not to just be putting badges and things everywhere. They've kind of chilled out on that, I guess. Okay, sitting inside the new Scat Pack, it's actually pretty quiet in here as far as like when you are stationary, when you close the door, you kind of forget the outside world exists. Like you could hear a pin drop in this interior. But let's fire up the 3-liter Hurricane Inline-6 and show you what that sounds like. And the answer is, on cold start anyway, it kind of sounds like a G80 M3. Something about the tone of the cold start, it literally sounds like an S58. So that's kind of fun. You know, the overall character of this engine, it's a little bit confusing, and we'll talk more about that once we're out on the road, but I don't even think people know that you can get this with a 6-cylinder. Everyone just assumes these are electric. So hopefully this video brings to light the fact that this car even exists. In the middle, you've got a center console that only opens one way. So if you're the passenger, screw you, you can't get into the console. You've got 2 cup holders right here. I'm using this one for my Yeti right now, and it does actually hold it in pretty well. You've got a wireless phone charger and then a spot next to it for anything you want. I've got my sunglasses there right now. Pretty good use of interior space in this car, I would say. As far as like places to put things, you've got the door pockets here. I was having an applesauce pouch yesterday, so we're using quite a lot of the real estate in this right now. But as far as things you touch in this, the steering wheel feels pretty nice in the hands. It's a nice soft leather. The design of it, I actually like. I'm usually not a huge fan of square steering wheels, but this one has grown on me this week, and I think it fits with the design of the rest of this interior, which is pretty wild. You have this attitude adjustment ambient lighting that goes all around the cabin, which is so funny. I got in this the other day, and I opened up the vehicle menu and I was like, what is attitude adjustment? So I clicked on it immediately and I'm like, okay, it's the ambient lighting. But I've got this set to purple right now. Emily and I were messing with this yesterday, but there's all kinds of different colors and you can actually see these during the day. It's so bright, it just glows. Got the orange is cool. This was when I picked it up, it was set to red, which of course matches the red exterior, but I'm a big fan of purple for ambient lighting because it reminds me of Mercedes-Benz, which I don't think this car shares platform with the ancient E-Class anymore, like the last Charger did, but a little bit of lore there. This has wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, pretty typical Stellantis infotainment. Volume knob, you've got heated ventilated seats here in this Scat Pack Plus with standalone little haptic buttons that really struggle to sense your fingers. Kind of have to hit them multiple times for them to do anything. And then you've got this little panel here, which controls your climate control. Kind of mixed on that. Don't love it, don't hate it. And then this has launch control, but otherwise, usually I say, you guys already know this, but I don't, because like I said earlier, I haven't spent like any time in these new Chargers, so I'm still learning as I go. Weirdest thing ergonomically in this interior is the so-called pistol grip shifter, which, I mean, it's an automatic, but I get Dodge's heritage with this whole pistol grip thing. Very hard to get used to, and you kind of have to think about the way you touch this because the shift unlock button is underneath. So no matter what, you have to grab the underside of this, and it's kind of awkward to grab this because the L button is here as well. So you can't have your palm resting here or else you risk pressing the L. So you kind of have to like wrap around and do like that. I don't know, I still haven't gotten used to the shifter. I think it looks cool, but it's a little weird in practice. Anyway, into reverse. Should we talk about what we're doing today? I guess I didn't even say that. We're just going to commute this to downtown. This is a very simple video today, just kind of giving me an opportunity to review this car because I've been wanting to for the last couple of years. Super high quality reverse cameras. You can see the individual blades of grass, and then you get the 360 camera in this Scat Pack Plus as well. Only thing I don't like is when you go into drive, it doesn't leave the camera up, and if you want to find it, you have to program it as a shortcut, and it's in the infotainment screen. There's no physical button in here to activate your cameras. I've looked everywhere. Unless I'm stupid and I can't see it, there's no button in here to do the cameras. And then there's an X there when you want to get rid of it. I had my bass-heavy music going earlier because I was testing out the Alpine sound system. But we'll go back to my normal playlist now. But okay, so what are the first impressions? What are the first things you notice when you get into this Charger? Well, you will immediately notice the brake and throttle tuning, which are very sort of in your face and immediate. Now, this isn't a super good thing because I'm just in auto mode right now, so you'd think that things would be a little bit smoother, a little bit more reserved. Not really the case. The initial throttle tip in, if you're not careful, it will send you rocketing away. It does feel like you're giving it about 40% throttle when you're giving it 10% throttle. Brakes are the same way. Emily and I took this out to dinner the other night, and she thought I was being silly when I was pulling into a parking spot, trying to make her hit the dashboard. No, I was trying to smoothly stop. I'm a little bit more used to this now. I'm able to drive it a little bit smoother, but you seriously have to exercise the smallest amount of input possible from your right foot. So if your right foot strength is not trained very well, be careful when you're driving a Charger Scat Pack. Steering weight is kind of medium heavy. It does lean closer to the heavy side, but the steering itself is pretty quick, so you don't have to do a ton of it. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Is the rear door open? Why is the wind noise incredibly obnoxious right now? We're gonna have to pull over for a second. Oh my, why is how does that happen? Did you guys see that? The glass was shut outside. Okay. Right. We'll just gloss over that bit. What I was gonna say is then you get to what the Dodge Charger is best at, and that is being loud and obnoxious. Here we go. Just because this is a 6-cylinder, don't think they toned this thing down at all. You can still hear it from a mile away, and it still does those oh-so-good ZF 8-speed farts in between gears. I've been having a blast with this thing this week, just driving it around and being a menace and being obnoxious, because that is what a Dodge Charger is all about in my mind. Let's give you some of that with these windows down. There you go. It's supposed to sound like this. See that? When all the windows are up. And honestly, I found auto mode to be pretty good for what I need to do day to day, even if I want to do spirited driving. Like, listen to that. It's a pretty cool sound. Okay, so we talked about the sound having a bit of an identity crisis. I think at idle, it does sound a bit like a BMW. However, under load, it sounds more like the turbocharged V6 out of an Alfa Romeo Stelvio or Giulia Quattrofoglio, which makes sense because it's all in the family with Stellantis. I'm going to put this into sport, which is brave considering the tire that we're on and the wet roads, but we'll try to survive the corner here. Sport mode just sharpens everything up a bit more. It doesn't seem to make the exhaust any louder because it's so loud in auto. Just loads of understeer around there. These tires are so sketchy. I don't know why Stellantis always cheaps out on the tires. But, I mean, I just imagine you could get so much more out of this car on a sport tire. It's pretty quick, 550 horsepower, but it's quite heavy, 4,800 pounds. I think the power here is about adequate, and it does feel faster than the old Scat Pack, I think because it can actually put its power down a bit more because it's all-wheel drive. But I do miss that raw, naturally aspirated V8 power. This thing does just, it boogies, it's fast. Let's try a launch control. We have to wait till we're stopped to hit that button or else it won't do anything. But since this is all-wheel drive now, you don't have to embarrass yourself at a set of lights. My dad likes to tell a story about when he raced a Charger Scat Pack in his Focus RS. And obviously, you know, Focus RS is all-wheel drive. It just boings off the line. And the guy in the Scat Pack was sitting at the light spinning for the first 3 seconds. So if you're out racing Ford Focus RSs now, you can probably take them. Let's try it. that is a that is a rapid launch control in this, supposedly good for 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, which is just wild for a Dodge Charger. Oh, this is another sort of untraditional thing with this car, because they've always been V8s, they've always been rear-wheel drive as long as I've known this car. And the fact that this is an all-wheel drive turbocharged inline-6 now is just so weird, but I think for the times, it does make sense. You know, like, this is kind of where sports cars are going. Not saying that Dodge should follow traditions, because they never do anyway. Hold on. I want to go do that again. To get yourself into manual mode, you just pull one of the paddles. It's easy as that. There's no manual shift mode with the actual shifter down here, so okay. Relax with the puddles. The windows are down. I just want to make some noise. A brief summary of what my week has been like in this car. I've just been going around doing that sort of thing. All right, all right. It's funny, the back windows only roll down about that much because of the way that the doors are designed in this car. Get yourself out of manual, just hold one of the paddles, the up paddle, I suppose. And then if you want to set up your drive modes to be any different, you can press the actual drive mode button in the middle. But I like that you can cycle through these on the steering wheel, just, you know, the way that they're supposed to be. And also in this drive mode menu, you can put this into rear wheel drive mode. Oh, speed must be 0. Manual mode engaged, rear wheel drive. Is that it? Is that all it takes? That's the first time I've tried that. Okay, rear wheel drive mode. Okay, let's put this back into auto. You can also do custom drive mode, wet, snow, auto. I'm telling you guys though, auto just does the trick. Now the only thing about this is whenever you change drive modes, it resets your sort of gauge cluster layout. And I've gone through and I've tried to mess with this. I seriously don't like any of these layouts. They're all just, I mean, that one is nothing. It's just it's the column screen. What is that? Okay, and then there's this. So I understand that because the gauge cluster is very sort of long and skinny, you're limited on how big these gauge pods can be. But they're small, your speed is way over on the right. It'd be cool if I could have a digital speedo readout in the middle, but the default is boost pressure, which is cool, you know, it's like whatever. And then you can go through and change all this. You can also have your trip computer up. After you're done being a menace, after you're done playing the sound to your people of the Hurricane Inline-6, what is this like to commute? What is this like when you have to jump on the highway and go to work? Well, let's go ahead and find out. We've got our drive mode set to auto. Auto setup, everything is in street, but paddle shifters are on. We have our permission to use paddle shifters here, so that's good. Well, there's also an eco mode. Look at that. I've never tried that. I have no interest in trying that. Since this has the ZF 8-speed automatic, it means that it is just about perfect, or as perfect as a torque converter automatic transmission can be. This gearbox, it always knows what gear to be in, it always knows what you want it to do. It's very telepathic, and I always say that the world would be a better place if every torque converter automatic was this one. You also get what is some of the best and most human-like or natural feeling adaptive cruise I've ever experienced, and I found this out yesterday on the road trip, and it's just, you never feel like you're holding up traffic with this system. All of the adjustments are physical buttons on the steering wheel, and if you really want to, you can click the little steering wheel button to have the active driving assist. The only thing I've found here is that it only lets you go about a second without having to put your hands back on the wheel. Luckily, it does have a grip sensor, so you can touch the wheel, but I never even messed with that. I just used the regular cruise control, and it was fantastic yesterday. So I've cheated a bit for my highway impressions because I've already filmed a road trip on this car, but you know, we can kind of go through them piece by piece here as we make our normal little highway commute section happen. Biggest thing with this car is the ride quality is a little bit unsettled, and I know you get the sport tune suspension in the Scat Pack. I haven't driven the RT, so I can't speak to that, but I think it's just a little bit too much in this car. It's not even stiff, it's just unsettled. It's like it never really knows what to do. Like the rebound, it's very bouncy, I guess is what I should say, and I don't like being bounced around. Otherwise, though, sitting in this, it's decently quiet, though. To go back to these tires again, they are a little bit loud. Like, you get a little bit of howliness. And then the cabin is kind of boomy, too. Like, over expansion joints, it, like, blows out your eardrums. You hear that? It's a very boomy experience in this car. Other highway manners are good. Passing power, obviously no problem with the engine and transmission combo in this. You've got decent room inside. We talked about the seats being pretty comfortable. The only kind of aspect of this design of the interior I don't like is how much the like lower bezel of the infotainment and side of the center console intrude into the driver's compartment. I found myself resting my leg on this yesterday, and it's not a comfortable place to do so. I mean, this is stitched down here, yes, but it's still a very hard surface, so not a big fan of that. But actually sitting in this, like, seating position is really good. Visibility out of this is fine. And then as far as elbows go, it's kind of weird because the center console sits so far back that you literally cannot rest your elbow on it while your hand is on the wheel. So you kind of have to do one of these, you know, or if you want to put your hand on Barb's thigh, you can do that as well if you want to set yourself up that way. But the elbow rest on the driver's door panel, it's got a decent amount of squish. Would I like to see a little bit more? Probably. And I think with just the way this is all laid out, I don't know, maybe I would like the center console to be a little bit closer so I could rest my elbow while I've got my hand on the wheel, but it's really not that big of a deal. And if you're driving like this, it's plenty comfortable, or you can, you know, rest your hand down here and you will be just fine. Most of the time the exhaust in here is pretty loud, but if you're under like 2,000 RPM, there's no sort of annoying drone. But it's always there. It's always within an inch of foot movement of just being the most obnoxious thing ever. I love that the Charger hasn't lost its charm in that way. And that's kind of the biggest thing with this car, you know? Like, I'll be completely honest with you guys, I didn't like this. The first couple of days I drove it, none of it made sense. I didn't understand it. And I was ready to review this car and be, like, really not happy about it. But I told myself, I'm like, you need to live with this a little more, drive it a little bit more, put some more miles on it. And the more time you spend in this, the more you start to like it, the more it starts to make sense. Because at the end of the day, it's still a Dodge Charger, it's still a sedan. And I think part of what makes these muscle cars special is their charm, is their sort of imperfectness. And I complain all the time about how cars are boring, and to get in something that isn't boring and not like it, it kind of goes against everything that I stand for. And yes, there are things that I would change with this, just like comfort and weird ergonomic things, but I think the overall essence and aura of this car is just so cool. Like, I love that they brought this back. I love that it exists. It's a little chilly out. I'm used to it being 90. I love doing that. It's just, and I always say, you know, any car that brings out the inner 12-year-old in you, it's probably a good car. It's probably a whole lot of fun. I think the actual, like, impact harshness over bumps is fine. It's more so like the smaller stuff that really upsets these dampers for some reason. Like, going over these bumps here, it's fine. Like, there's no problem. It's when you have those uneven, like, expansion joint sections on the highway where this thing is just bouncing all over the place and just cannot figure out what it wants to do. And you've got good lumbar on the seat. So, you know, if you're doing your little half-hour commute in the morning, do your highway section. Now we're getting into the city. We'll kind of get down to the nitty-gritty here and see what this is like to like maneuver and things. And we'll get it into the parking structure at the end. But I think the overall packaging as a whole still makes sense as A, sedan, and B, a muscle car. And let's not forget, you know, a lot of muscle cars did have inline-6s back in the day. This is not a new thing. And a lot of the cars down under in Australia, you know, that Ford Barra engine, that big inline-6, that's pretty iconic. So I appreciate that this is an inline-6 and not a V6, because I think I would like it less if it were a V6. But I do like some of those potent engines from Maserati and Alfa Romeo. I think they still could have made it work, but the fact that Dodge and Ram, the fact that they have their own thing now with this Hurricane engine is pretty cool. I love the low-down torque from this. I do think this shifter would be so much cooler if I had a little bump to the left manual mode and I could shift it down here, because then it would give it a little bit more purpose. Because now, the way that it is, you touch it, what, twice in your entire journey? Like, okay, what's the point of even making it a fun shape if you can't even use it any more than once or twice? Extra frustrating, because the old Charger, you could. It had the little bump over thing. You could shift it down there. Why? It feels like the same exact shifter. Why would they take that away? I think it's time for an attitude adjustment. Red, I think. I was telling you guys earlier about the 18-speaker Alpine sound system, which is pretty insane. And honestly, in my opinion, it's worth the upgrade. I haven't even heard the standard sound system in this, but there's no way it even compares to the sheer power of this system. It is absolutely insane, and I want to play you Cobalt in this because I think that'll show off the power of this a little bit better. This song takes a minute to get started, but just, if you're not wearing headphones, wear headphones for this. When I was in high school, my buddy Eric had a Ford Probe, and we had this long-running joke that every song bumps in the Probe because he had the most insane subwoofer that took up like the entire hatch space of that car. I mean, you could play like Hey There Delilah in the Probe and it would bump like crazy. And it's kind of the same story here with this Alpine system in this Charger. Every song finds a way to bump. Any little bit of bass shakes the entire interior in this car, but it's not in a bad way. The door panels don't rattle. It's a decently tight bass sound still. Now, do I think it's bass heavy? Yes, I do. But I think that's kind of cool. Everything is zeroed out, you know, and this is kind of just an American car thing. Like all of the big three, all of their high-end sound systems, they're all super bass heavy. But the power in this thing is just unbelievable. And if you play a song that is actually bass heavy, it's unreal. Like Emily and I were sampling some of our wedding playlist in this car the other day, and just getting a feel for what that's going to be like. And this car does do a good job of imitating a bunch of like subwoofers on a stick in a big room. Like it's pretty wild. But I'm a fan. You know, just do yourself a favor, get the Alpine. If you're somebody that likes music, just go for the Alpine in this car. It's so wild. But I guess with that, that's just about going to wrap this video up. Now, we have another take on this. Again, I don't know if that video is going to be out before or after this, but stay tuned for it. If it's out, I'll put it in the description. But this Dodge Charger, it's a car, you have to give it a chance. You know, it's something that right off the bat, like under first impressions, there's going to be a lot that you question. But you have to remember, it's not for everyone. Yeah, it's not for everyone. But also, it's to fit this very sort of niche crowd that already had a Dodge Charger, or somebody that's still looking for a muscle car. And I like the fact that Dodge kind of prioritized this being a muscle car over it being a sedan, because it's available in 2- and 4-door, and it has to be able to do the thing no matter what. But the fact that you can get it with 4 doors is cool, because if you're a dad or something, you have to have extra room, or you commute with some friends. It makes it practical. You know, it's still the practical do-anything muscle car. Like, who else is doing this right now? Ford doesn't make a 4-door Mustang. GM they don't even make anything in this segment anymore. They killed the Camaro, though granted I do think it's coming back very soon. But there's just, you know, Dodge, they basically control this segment completely. Camera's coming up. That's good. Don't clout the alloys on the yellow bits.
From the screen menu.
I'm at a perfect height to grab a ticket.
Welcome.
There it is.
Please proceed into the lot.
Be able to have a really good view of this attitude adjustment now that we are in the dark. Ooh, yeah, it is nice and bright orange. I meant to go for red. I guess I ended up on orange somehow. Oh, except now it's dim because the lights have turned on. Maneuvering this is okay. I mean, this is a big car, let's be honest. So there's a couple of older Chargers there. Nice. This is a big car, okay? And it doesn't hide that, of course. It looks big from the outside. It feels pretty big when you drive it. But I think the steering ratio in this car is just about perfect. You can kind of do like one really quick hand-over-hand maneuver here, and you're around the corner. The steering wheel, while it is square, it doesn't feel as awkward in the hands as some other square steering wheels that I've experienced in the past. So actually getting this up here is no problem. I've kind of been liking ending these like in the structure lately, so I can leave the lights on. You guys can see what those look like as well. Into park on the pistol grip. We'll pull our parking brake, which is in the correct spot, by the way. It's not down by your left knee like it is in most cars these days. And we'll shut this off. I do kind of like that all this exists right here. There goes the frat zog on the infotainment. Check rear seat. Frameless doors. Make sure that goes where it's supposed to. Somebody is very angry outside using their horn. But that's going to be it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If I left anything out, if you have any questions, please do let me know. But I'm just so happy I was finally able to spend some time in this new Dodge Charger, because this is like the one car that's just been teasing me. I've seen everyone else drive it, and I haven't been able to have a go. I've been having major FOMO with this car. So happy that I finally got to do it, and that's going to wrap it up. Again, check out the other video if it's out, if you haven't already. But these videos will be linked in each other's descriptions, so you'll be able to see both if you want more Charger content. And a lot more Charger content does exist in the Topherverse, so go and check that out as well. But that's going to do it for me today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This was a pretty decent companion today on the commute, and I think if you're considering one for a daily driver, definitely give it a shot, because I think it will do you quite well. So again, thank you guys so much, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.